Hey, and we're live, ladies and germs. Yes, we're live for a fuel review, which I said I would only do. God damn it. Which I said I would only do for the crown jewels, and if something crazy happened. Well, something crazy indeed happened. Last night at Richmond. What? What do you want, butthead? This cat. Wow. But yeah, last night got everybody in such a tizzy. Boys, can you please go away? But anywho, this might be a bit of a long video because there's a shit ton of stuff to talk about. You know, especially with all the stuff that's been going on during the Olympic break, with silly season in full effect, rumors going around about the 2025 schedule and all this other shit. There's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. So this is probably going to be one hell of a long stream. But, you know, content. But, without further ado, let's get into this. This is the fuel. Strap up. We're about to go on one hell of a ride. This video is sponsored by Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend and by Reaper Apparel Company. Stay tuned till after the video to learn how you can save 10% off of your order. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of The Fuel. Where today we're going to be talking about the the absolute insanity that was the 2024 Cookout 400 at Richmond last night, which has caused quite the divide amongst the NASCAR fan base, to say the least. CJ Odell, I was absolutely pissed at the finish. I give the whole race a 1.5 out of 10, and that's generous. I think that's being a little too harsh, personally. Like, I know the finish was extremely controversial. I know that much. But, I mean, a 1.5, I think that's being way too harsh, personally. Because the truth of the matter is, the race last night really wasn't that bad. In fact, with all the strategy that we saw, it was actually a solid race. In fact, it was the kind of race that I thought we were going to get back in the spring. Until that stupid caution came out midway through and pretty much ruined the whole thing. But, where to begin on all this? Where do we even begin? Well, why don't we start with some stuff that's been going on during the Olympic break, by starting with Spire Motorsports and the bombshell that they dropped a couple weeks ago that Corey LaJoie is not going to be returning to the team in 2025, which, let's be honest here, after the last, month or two, and in fact this season has just been the season from hell, and also the fact that Carson Hocevar, despite all of his faults, has been outperforming Corey LaJoie by a country fucking mile this year. I mean, it's literally no surprise as to why Corey LaJoie is being dumped by Spire Motorsports. Absolute chicken shit move by Dillon. Trust me, we'll be getting to it, because I have a lot to say. But first things first, let's go over what happened in the weeks prior to this, because it's been a bit of a break. It's been 3 weeks since the last episode of The Fuel, and a lot's happened since then. So I want to go over all that shit. But yeah, Spire is dropping Corey LaJoie after 2024. Yeah, LaJoie finished 35th and Hocevar finished 8th, exactly. And LaJoie is supposed to be like the veteran. But let's be completely honest here, people. The only reason why LaJoie is in a cup ride is because of his father, Randy LaJoie, who was a somewhat successful driver in his tenure. He was, I think, a two-time Xfinity Series champion. So, Randy LaJoie had some racing pedigree. But, literally, what the fuck has Corey LaJoie done in his NASCAR career to deserve a cup ride? I mean, to my knowledge, he's never won a NASCAR race in any of the top 3 divisions. So why is he in cup? I mean, the proof was in the pudding when he took over for Chase Elliott last year. Was it last year? When he drove the 9 car? And wasn't it at Gateway? Because that was the race that Chase was suspended for right rear hooking Denny Hamlin in the Coke 600. I believe that's what it was. I think that was the race that he substituted in. And he was absolutely abysmal. You know, you look at Josh Berry, who had to substitute for him in a couple races for Chase Elliott's leg injury. And he finished second at Richmond, which kind of showcased that Josh Berry, you know, was a hot commodity, which is how he got into the Cup Series in the 4 car for this year. Of course, he's going to be, with the fact that Stuart Haas is going to be no more, and it's just now going to be Haas, the Haas factory team, as it'll be called next year. He was looking for a new ride, and he's going to be going to the Wood Brothers next year, which I think is a great move on the Wood Brothers part, because let's be honest here, Harrison Burton is not cutting the fucking mustard. Like, how long has Harrison Burton been in that 21 car? I think this is his 3rd season, and he has done jack fuck all in that 21 car. So Josh Berry is going to be an absolute upgrade over Harrison Burton. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we see that 21 car up front a little bit more than we had been seeing it the last couple years. But that's just me. But now the question becomes, who does Spire Motorsports bring onto that 7 car? Ford got shut out of the top 10 altogether. The highest finishing Ford driver was Blaney in 11th. Wow. It just goes to show you the Toyotas and Chevys were just dominant last night. But again, I'll get to that in a minute. But Spire Motorsports, I mean, they've been making some moves this year, because they're bringing, what the hell's his name? Why am I forgetting his name right now? The current crew chief of Josh Berry. Why am I blanking on his name right now? God damn it. Hey Siri. Who is the current crew chief of the number 4 NASCAR Cup Series car?
On May 26, 2022, Trackhouse Racing announced that Darian Grubb.
No, that's not it. If anything, Burton has gotten worse in the 21 season, so Barry would definitely be an upgrade for the Wood Brothers. Yeah, help me out. Who's the current crew chief of the 4 car? Why am I blanking on his name right now? God damn it. I should know his name, and I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. I feel so stupid right now. Rodney Childers, there we go. God damn it. I apologize. I was just blanking on his name, and I was just like, why the hell am I blanking on his name? I should know his name, for God's sake. Rodney Childers. Yeah, they're bringing Rodney Childers on the Spire, and they were going to be, they're putting him in the 7 team next year. And a lot of people are like, oh, why is Corey LaJoy getting Rodney Childers? Turned out that wasn't the case, like, at all. So that now begs the question, who's going to be getting the 7 car next year? Because it's pretty obvious that Spire is one of these teams that are kind of on the rise right now. You know, a far cry from where they were just a few short years ago, but they've been making some moves. They're bringing Rodney Childers on board. They actually made a new hire recently. Let me look this up real quick. Because they just recently hired someone. Travis Peterson will be their new crew chief for the 71 car. He's coming over with Michael McDowell. That's right. Travis Peterson will be joining Michael McDowell at Spire Motorsports. So they'll be leaving the 34 team, and they'll be on the number 71 car at Spire in 2025. I thought it was somebody else. Nope, it was Travis Peterson. Okay. Cat, what are you doing? You dumb shit. Anyway, but yeah, it was Travis Peterson. They're bringing him over with Michael McDowell, who they're bringing over from Front Row to Spire to drive the 71 car next year. So yeah, Spire Motorsports is making a lot of moves next year. And of course, circling back around, that begs the question, who's going to drive the 7 car next year? A lot of people thought that Spire would get in contact with Richard Childress Racing and try to buy out Kyle Busch's contract, which, on the face of it, makes sense, considering the fact that Spire and Kyle Busch do have that connection, because who ended up buying Kyle Busch's old Truck Series team? Spire Motorsports. And didn't Kyle Busch start in a few races for Spire Motorsports in the Truck Series this year? Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? Now, of course, Kyle's saying that, well, you know, he's under contract with Richard Childress Racing until the end of next year. But beyond that, you know, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Spire did their absolute damnedest to try to get Kyle Busch on board. Maybe with team ownership. I mean, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Spire went the Roush route. You know, because Roush Fenway, they were struggling before Brad Keselowski came on board. They offered him team ownership. It became Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. And look at the fucking improvement that team has seen over the last several years. Especially with Chris Buescher. Even though Chris Buescher's kind of lagged a little bit behind the last couple years. It's not from a lack of effort. I mean, let's be honest here. Chris Buescher probably should have a couple wins at this point. If not for some horrendously bad luck. But ever since Brad Keselowski came on board and basically started hiring some people that knew what the fuck they were doing, look at the turnaround that 6 and 17 team has seen. You don't think Spire Motorsports isn't looking at that and saying, hey, you know, we basically bought out Kyle Busch's truck team, but I think it was also for a long-term kind of thing, because it's like in the back of their head, maybe we'll offer Kyle Busch part ownership of Spire in the near future once his contract with RCR is up. I mean, it could happen. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. I mean, look at Denny Hamlin. You know, he's an owner driver now, even though he doesn't drive his own car. But I mean, he's a team owner now with 2311. You know, and look at Brad Keselowski. Tony Stewart's done it. You know, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Spire Motorsports offered that to Kyle Busch at some point further down the line. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Kyle Busch accepted wholeheartedly. It would not be a surprise to me. But yeah, Spire Motorsports might be a team to watch in the next year or two, because, I mean, they're making some moves. I mean, they wouldn't make these moves if they weren't serious about their long-term future in the sport. It tells me that they want to start winning some races in the near future. I mean, bringing a guy like Rodney Childress on board and bringing Travis Peterson over to continue to be the crew chief for Michael McDowell, moving them both to the 71 car, they're serious about their long-term future. So I would watch out for Spire Motorsports in the next year or two, because I think they're going to become a force. Joey getting dumped was wrong, but then he wrecked himself if you watch him come up across the 3. Like I said, we'll get to it. Trust me, I have a lot to say, but a lot of other stuff happened that I want to get to first. Like Andretti Global. They've been hinting that they want to jump into NASCAR, considering the fact that their bid for Formula One was rejected. Stupidly, might I add, by Liberty Media. Andretti Global is now thinking about jumping into the NASCAR world. Now, is this a smart idea? I don't know. But, I mean, Andretti Global is a massive team. I mean, they got their hands in all sorts of different motorsports. IndyCar, of course. Sports car racing. And of course, they wanted to get into Formula One, but, you know, Liberty Media said, nope, which has now got them under fire from the U.S. government for, what the hell was it? I think it's like antitrust violations or something like that. Justice Department opens investigation into Liberty Media over F1 Andretti clash. The company notified investors of the antitrust probe. So it's an antitrust probe is what it is, because the Department of Justice is like, why is an American company that owns the commercial rights to Formula One, you know, refusing to admit a U.S. team into the sport? You know, it just doesn't seem like it makes any sense. So they've opened an antitrust probe into Liberty Media. So, I mean, if the U.S. government is getting involved, yeah. Chat disconnected. What the fuck? Am I still online? Successfully reconnected. Okay. I don't know why the chat disconnected. No, it still says online. I guess the chat just disconnected for some reason. Okay. But, yeah, Andretti Global is looking to join NASCAR. Let me see if I can find it here. Global NASCAR. they're saying they're interested. So this was, let's see, let's go to J-Ski because they usually have stuff. This was back on August the 2nd, apparently. Andretti interested in NASCAR Cup Series team. In a video released on Thursday, Andretti Global President J.F. Thorman announced that the team is planning to expand its operation into the NASCAR Cup Series. This comes as the team still has ambitions to join the Formula One grid. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, man, isn't that stretching themselves a bit thin? You know, trying to go to all these different ventures? Well, Chip Ganassi and Roger Penske seem to do it just fine. So, there's that. But Thorman said the expansion is appropriate given the Andretti name's history in stock car racing, which is true because Mario Andretti, little known fact, Mario Andretti won the 1967 Daytona 500, I want to say. Hey Siri, when did Mario Andretti win the Daytona 500?
Could you try? Okay, I found this
Yep.
on the web for Mario Andretti with the Daytona 500. Check it out.
Yep, it was the 67 Daytona 500. I thought I was remembering that correctly, but I wanted to be sure. But, yeah, Thorman says a lot of times when I travel, if I have the branding on, the amount of people that will actually ask and say, do you work for the Andretti race team? Is it Mario or is it Michael? You realize the power of the name and how recognized it is. It represents that hard work. Mario's story of coming over with just their shirt on their backs, it's just pride to wear that. At the moment, the team is only in the exploratory phase of expanding to NASCAR. And of course, Marco Andretti, who is a longtime IndyCar driver, he has made a couple Truck Series starts so far. And was also racing in SRX before that shut down. So, but yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Having a name like Andretti in the Cup Series. I mean, especially since they're also trying to expand into Formula One. And it may still happen with the antitrust probe going on. I mean, you never know. So, that's pretty crazy. But going back to the NASCAR side of things a little bit. Junior Motorsports. There had been a lot of talk about them saying, hey, are you going to join the Cup Series? And it's like, with everything going on with the whole charter drama, you know, now you have teams that are threatening to skip the Netflix show that NASCAR has because of this whole, you know, charter debacle and, you know, the revenue sharing, you know, dispute and all this other shit. You know, I don't think Junior Motorsports wants to jump up the Cup. I think they're perfectly happy being right where they are in the Xfinity Series, basically being like a developmental team in that sense. And on that note, they landed themselves a huge top prospect coming up from, I think, the car store? Okay, why is this not working? What in the absolute fuck is going on right now? Alright, fine. Fuck you. I'll just go to Google. Are you fucking serious right now? What in the hell is going on? You seriously gonna make me use Microsoft fucking Edge? I don't know why Firefox is being such a fucking prick right now. Sneeze alert. Shit. Alright. Junior Motorsports. God damn it. Oh, jeez. I need a new computer. This one's getting old. There we go. Thank you. Get. And of course, it's gonna take freaking ever to go to the site that I wanna. There we go. Connor Zilish. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if I'm not. To race for Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. And apparently he's a Trackhouse racing driver, so... Zilish turned 18 on July the 22nd to become eligible to race in NASCAR's second tier series. He set a track record to win pole and finish fourth in his Truck Series debut in Austin, Texas in March. He is considered one of racing's up-and-coming drivers with class wins at the Rolex 24 Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, and 4 ARCA Series events. So he's actually been in sports car racing. I thought he was in the Cars Tour, but he's actually been sports car racing. I mean, that's quite the resume to frickin' have for someone as young as him to win, to have class wins and the Rolex 24, the 12 Hours of Sebring. I mean, 2 of the biggest endurance races in the United States. And he also has 4 ARCA Series wins. That's pretty good too. Oh my god, this computer. Stop being so damn slow. I don't know why you were not thrilled when Cole Custer is going back to Cup. He's redeeming himself in the Xfinity Series. I mean... It just feels like... I mean, I know he's trying to redeem himself in the Xfinity Series, and he did so last year with an Xfinity title, but... I mean, he's going basically right back to the same car that he was in just last year, and with how things are going to be at Haas next year, with it just being the Haas factory team. I mean, it's probably only going to be a one-car operation, you know, and it just feels like he's only getting back into that ride because of his family connections. So I'm not very thrilled about it because, I mean, he didn't really do a whole lot in Cup in his last tenure, and honestly, I don't expect things to improve. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I want to see him improve, but I mean, I don't see it. I mean, Cole, and it's not that I'm thrilled that he's going to be back in Cup. Cole Custer is just, he is a weird race car driver to try to wrap your head around, because I mean, he's too good for Xfinity, but he's not good enough for Cup. It's just so weird. He is a weird race car driver. I mean, honestly, if maybe it's the Gen 7 car, because it seems like he has a handle on the old car, which is what Xfinity uses. They still use the old car. They don't use the Gen 7 car. And it just seems to me like he's more comfortable in the previous generation car than he is in the Gen 7. Maybe that's where the disconnect is. I don't know. I mean, will things be different this time around? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I'm going to keep an open mind about Cole Custer. I'm not that thrilled about it because it feels like a nepotistic promotion back up to the car that he had been driving. But maybe things will be different. Maybe all it takes is a new crew chief. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes is a crew chief to, you know, change the work ethic, the culture surrounding a certain team. All that can change with a new crew chief. So maybe that's what he needs. Sometimes all it takes is a good driver crew chief combination, and bam, you're golden. Will that be the case next year? I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, Connor Zilich, Trackhouse's latest prospect. He's going to be driving for Junior Motorsports next year, and if he continues the kind of run that he's been on as of late, I mean, he's going to be someone to watch for the Xfinity title next year. A crew chief can make a difference. It can. It can make a world of difference. Because, let's be honest here, Truex, when he moved over to Front Row Motorsports, or no, not Front Row Motorsports, but Furniture Row Motorsports, in 2014, like, he was dog shit. Then they changed crew chiefs and promoted Cole Pern to the crew chief role, and you see how that turned out. So sometimes that's all it takes. But with all that out of the way, I think that's about all I want to talk about as far as stuff that happened this week. So, let's get into the race itself. The race review itself. So, 2024 Cookout 400. I'm going to start by saying this. What really, really sucks about the fact that we had that finish in this race is that it completely overshadowed the option tire. Now, back at Indy, at the end of that review, when I said that they were going to use the option tire for Richmond, I said that the option tire I thought was a good idea. And I still thought that. Because they tried it at the All-Star race, and it didn't work. It wasn't the tire itself that didn't work. It was the fact that they had just repaved North Wilkesboro. Which, let's be honest here, as much as we didn't want to see them do it, they had to. Because that surface, I mean, it needed it. Like, it hadn't been repaved in over 40 years. So it needed to be repaved. And unfortunately, when it is repaved, typically a track becomes a one-groove track until it gets some age on it. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the case with North Wilkesboro. And also, with newer asphalt, tires don't wear as much. So, the option tire was the dominant tire because it didn't wear. So, there's a good reason why the option tire didn't work at North Wilkesboro is because its surface is brand spanking new. But at a track like Richmond that had tire wear, even with the harder tire, was where the option tire I thought would shine. And that's exactly what happened. When Daniel Suarez put that option tire on in stage 2 and absolutely zoomed to the front, that caught a lot of teams' attention, like, holy shit. That option tire really does work. And unfortunately, its success last night is going to get overshadowed by the finish, which we're going to be getting into, because I have a lot to say. Trust me. So Denny Hamlin won the pole. Led lap 1. Bell got by Josh Berry for third early on. So it was a JGR 1-2-3 at this point. Gilliland ended up smacking the wall of turn 2. Berry and Wallace were battling hard for 5th. Bell gets by Truex for 2nd and then runs down Hamlin for the lead. Christopher Bell. I mean, this was his race to lose. Let's just be completely real here. I mean, even with front end damage that he got on a pit stop later on, I believe it was during the stage 1 break. Because he was leaving pit road and got into the back of Eric Jones, spun Eric Jones around. Eric Jones was still able to complete his stop because he was technically in his pit box, even though he was at a 90-degree angle facing the wall. But he damaged the front valence on his car. Didn't seem to affect it at all because he was still able to lead a lot of laps in this race. But this was his race to lose, and we'll get into why he did lose it later on. But he took the lead for the first time on lap 46 for a first pure lead change of the day. Truex was now challenging for second as he run down the 2 leaders as they were battling. Bell almost lost it trying to lap Justin Haley up high, and he nearly lost it, but held on to it, and he wins stage number 1. I mean, it was a short stage. I mean, it's kind of like the feeling out stage. But everyone came in for service. Bell won the race off pit road, but like I said, got into Eric Jones and damaged the front valence on his car, which didn't really seem to affect it all that much, which was surprising. He still led the start of stage 2, but Suarez and Michael McDowell, who got the free pass, decided to switch to the option tire, which they were only allowed 2 sets of the red option tire to use at their leisure. Well, Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell decided, well, we're going to go ahead and use our first set now. Holy shit. Suarez restarted like 17th. Michael McDowell, as the free pass car, started at the very back of the field. Suarez motored all the way to the lead. McDowell was all the way up to the top 10 by the time the tires started falling off. And that caught, I guarantee you, that caught the other team's attention. Like, wow, those tires really do work really good. But the question was, where was the fall off going to occur? Where the red tires, the softer tires, would start to lose their grip, and the yellow prime tire, the harder tire, would start to gain back on it. It seemed to be between, depending on how good your car was handling, it seemed to be between 30 and 40 laps, because Suarez was still really fast on those red tires, and then it was right around 40 laps when his tires started to give up. It seems like Bell this year, when he has the dominant car, something happens. Seems like it. Unfortunately, in this case, this was his own doing. But we'll get to that in a minute. Bell and Hamlin start to battle hard for the race lead as Suarez is just blistering through the field on the option tires. Bell and Hamlin went back and forth for the lead a couple times for pure lead changes. And Suarez, he just motors his way to the lead on lap 94 for a fourth pure lead change. McDowell was also motoring his way through the field on the option tire. And it seemed like the red tire started to fall off around 40 laps. But we still had the one stop versus two stop strategy. We had Chase Briscoe kick off the first round of green flag stops on lap 121. And there were only like two teams that decided to do the one stop strategy. And it didn't really work out in their favor. The two-stop strategy seemed to be the way to go. But Bell actually cycles out with the lead and Larson stays out and does the one-stopper. I think it was Reddick and Larson who did the one-stopper. The two-stoppers come in for their second stop on lap 165. Todd Gilliland gets nabbed for speeding. And then Truex's crew make a bit of a mistake, not getting the left rear on, so they have to back him up and reattach it. That actually happened a couple of times in this race. But everybody had switched back. Pretty much a lot of people had switched back to the primary tire. Keselowski was the only one on reds, it seemed like, in the top 20. And didn't really seem to do him a whole lot of good. And then NBC. What the fuck? Suarez challenges Bell for the race lead, going down into turn 1, gets side by side with him, and then commercial. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, that reminds me a lot of Fox Sports in that respect. Like, come on, NBC, you can do better than that. Because you're usually fucking better than Fox Sports, and yet you're emulating them in a lot of different respects. Like, what the fuck? So that irritated the fuck out of me. But Bell starts to try to catch Suarez back down for the stage win because it seemed like Bell had a good long-run car. But Suarez is able to hold him off and win stage number 2. Suarez actually looked really good in this race. And using those red tires early on really helped with his track position. Of course, not having his first set at the beginning of stage 3 kind of bit him a little bit because pretty much everybody was on the red tires for the start of stage 3. Whereas Suarez had to start on the primary tire. And he basically got drop kicked through the field. And ended up back to where he was before at the end of stage 1. Because everybody in front of him ended up with the red tires. So, kind of frustrating how that works out sometimes, as fucking Avast is trying to load up here again, trying to let me know, hey, your subscription is ending. Fuck off, I'm trying to do a fucking review here. Damn it, you're causing my OBS to fucking throw a fit. Alright, so stage 3. Suarez is the only one inside the top 15 on the primary tire, and well, it showed because he got gobbled up by the red tires. And then Truex, who had a 108-point lead coming in over the cut line, has engine problems and is the only car out of the race. So he loses quite a chunk off of his point gap. Green flag stops begin on lap 280, and it was at this point that Christopher Bell, who had been dominating this race and quite frankly seemed like he had the fastest car in this race, nabbed for speeding. I was like, he probably just handed this race to either Logano or Hamlin. And I'm just like, God damn it. So Hamlin is first and Logano is second with 100 laps to go, and I'm like, joy. Joy. But then, a surprise. Austin Dillon. And this is where we're going to start getting into the Austin Dillon stuff. Starts challenging Logano for second, legitimately. And I'm just like, isn't he 32nd in points right now? He has been absolute dog shit all season. But it's like with Austin Cindric. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. And the 3-team hit on it this time around. They actually had a legitimately fast car in this race last night. Gets by Logano for second. And it was at that point that Logano kicked off the last round of pit stops on lap 333. It was too far for the red tires because they were pitting with between 60 and 70 laps to go. And, you know, as we already talked about, the red tires only seem to be at their peak for between 35 to 40 laps, which is far too long on this last run. So, well, for some drivers tried to stay out a little longer to try to gain advantage of the red tires when they switched to them. Like Daniel Suarez. We'll get to that in a minute. Hamlin pits from the lead on lap 334. Suarez stays out long, so Hamlin goes by to take the lead. That wouldn't appear lead change. But Suarez switches to the red tires when he comes to pit. And he is blazing fast, like almost a second a lap faster. With 20 laps to go. I'm thinking, does he have a shot here? No. I mean, he gets close. He gets to within 6 seconds, but that's when the tires finally give up. In the meantime, though, Austin Dillon runs down Hamlin for the lead and passes him clean as a fucking whistle. Now, before all this, because I was watching with my stepfather and his cousin, I looked at him and I said, well, Austin Dillon, he'll probably put the bumper to him if need be. He didn't need to in this case. He passed Denny Hamlin for the lead, legit, on lap 372 for a 6-pure lead change. And drives away, and I'm thinking, wow. He actually legitimately got the job done. And then on lap 399. Who else causes the caution to send this race into overtime than the two guaranteed cautions, Ricky Shithouse and Ryan Preece? Of course, it'd be one of those two. We were literally a lap and a half away from what was essentially a caution-free race. Because I don't count the stage breaks. We were literally a lap and a half away from a caution-free race. And of course, Ricky Shithouse, as he usually does, Just fucks the whole thing up. I mean, what the hell was that? And what was he racing for? I just don't get it. Literally racing for a position that doesn't even fucking matter. And cooks it, turns Priest, and basically bends himself into the wall. So we go to overtime. And of course, everybody comes in and goes to the red tires because that's what they were saving them for. And then on the restart, Logano gets a better restart on the outside lane and takes the lead. And I'm thinking to myself, we're literally going to sit through all that just to see Logano once again snooker one on an overtime. Come to the white flag, it's like, God damn it, Logano's going to win another one. Because of overtime. And that's when the moment happened. Dillon just goes into turn 3 and does not lift. Gets into the back of Logano. Spins him out. Hamlin, with the momentum, goes by on the inside. Him and Dillon come together, coming off turn 4, sends Hamlin into the outside wall. And Dillon is technically first across the line, but NASCAR throws the caution before they even cross the line for whatever reason. But Austin Dillon is still declared the winner anyway. So, how do I want to word this? Because here's the funny thing about the whole thing between Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, and Denny Hamlin. I don't give a fuck about all three of them, because I've had my own problems with them over the years, so I don't have a dog in this fight. So I get that kind of rare point of view, I guess you could say. On the 3 radio, they were saying, wreck him, yeah. Or what, was it wreck him, or was it get him? I mean, it was kind of hard to tell on the radio, but obviously it's going to be taken a look at. But here's the thing. Was Austin Dillon's move a dirty move? Absolutely it was. Because let's be honest here, as much as I can't stand Joey Logano, he did pass him clean on the restart. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He did pass him clean on the restart. So he really didn't do anything to cause himself to be dumped by Logano, or by Dillon. Of course, I mean, does Logano and Hamlin both have the right to be upset? Absolutely. But on the other hand, I have absolutely no sympathy for Hamlin or Logano, considering they've done similar shit in the past for race wins. Maybe not to the level of what Dillon did last night, doing a double dumper. But it's still in the same vein. So, you know, as much as I can say that it was dirty of Dillon to do that. I can also say in the same thing that I really don't have any sympathy for Logano or Hamlin. You know? And then on top of that, apparently Logano was revving up his motor on pit road, which gained the ire of NASCAR officials because, you know, there were other people around. And he also had a broken toe link. So, you know, trying to do that with a broken toe link is not exactly a good idea because, I mean, you don't know if that tire is going to come off. You don't know if the whole part is going to come off. You don't know what the car is going to do. So, NASCAR wasn't exactly happy with Logano about that. So, and, you know, he was, you know, bitching up a storm. I mean, is there some truth to what Logano said that, you know, he sucked his whole career? I mean, there is some truth to that, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, Logano, I mean, he's being a little bit hypocritical in this situation. Because how many times have we seen Logano do something similar in his career? Mark Martin at Pocono. Matt Kenseth at Kansas. Damn near wrecked Truex at Martinsville. 2022 at Darlington with William Byron. The list goes on and on. So I have absolutely no fucking sympathy for Logano or Hamlin. I mean, and did Hamlin have some other things that, you know, I could agree with? Yeah. I mean, he basically said that NASCAR is not going to be taken seriously because there's no amount of officiating in the booth. That I will agree with him on. I have no sympathy for him, but I will agree with him on that. Because here's the fact of the matter. One second. Because here's the fact of the matter. As much as Dillon's move was extremely dirty, and I don't approve of it, this is not entirely Austin Dillon's fault. And I say that because look where he was in points. He was 32nd in points coming in. Now, barring some unforeseen changes, because after the race, of course, you all knew, as they always do, with, you know, controversial events and all this other shit, you knew they were going to trot the fucking mook himself, the Jamoke, Elton Sawyer out there to try to explain, as, you know, in his usual way, to try to explain, you know, what happened, what they're gonna do, and all this other bullshit that he likes to peddle. Like, honestly, Elton Sawyer would make a good fucking politician. I can't stand that motherfucker. I really can't, because, you know, every time they send him out there, he's always saying something to try to cover their ass or whatever else. And that shit just gets on my fucking nerves. It really does. And I can't stand the motherfucker. Because, I mean, he just sounds like a fucking politician. He's done this 2 other times. He did it to Almirola in 2018 and Cindric in 2022 to win both Daytona races. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying to my stepfather and his cousin. It's like, don't be surprised if Dillon tries to do the bump and run if he needs to. Prove that right, huh? Of course, I didn't think he really needed to, but here's the other thing. if Ricky Stenhouse didn't drive with his head halfway up his fucking anal hole, then we wouldn't have this conversation now, would we? And also, on top of that, you know, NASCAR is to blame for all this fucking shit. But here's what... Let me find it here real quick. Elton Sawyer. This is from his mouth himself. Our sport has been a contact sport for a long time. We always hear, where's the line and did someone cross the line? I would say that the last lap, it was awful close to the line. We'll take a look at all the available resources from audio to video. We'll listen to the spotter. We'll listen to the crew chief and drivers. And if anything rises to a level that we feel like we need to penalize, then we'll do that on Tuesday. Not after the race, but on Tuesday. Thing about it is, Dillon got through tech inspection and the win stands. So, what are they going to do here? I mean, they could do points and a monetary fine, but that's not going to do jack fucking shit. Because this leads back into the problem that I talk about where NASCAR, this is all they're doing. Because this is NASCAR's fucking mess. Because they're the ones who created this fucking bullshit playoff system that forces drivers into situations like this. Because look where Austin Dillon was compared to where he is now. He was 32nd in points. And bear in mind, the top 25 in points are the only ones that get any money from the point fund. That win last night essentially jumped Austin Dillon from 32nd in points to a guaranteed top 16 finish. Regardless of what happens in the playoffs. He will finish no lower than 16th. You see how fucked up the playoff system is? This is what I have been preaching for a decade at this point. Yet nobody seems to want to fucking listen. Will this open your fucking eyes now? Will this open your eyes as to how fucking broken and unneeded this fucking playoff system is? Especially with the winning you're in bullshit? Like the winning you're in virtually guarantees silly fucking bullshit like this. So I'm not going to put all the blame on Austin Dillon. I mean, was what he did dirty as fuck? Absolutely. But NASCAR put these drivers in this position with their fucking bullshit format. As far as I'm concerned, this mess is all on NASCAR. And NASCAR really needs to look at themselves and say, is this what we really want? Because right now, even Eric Estep, who's about the biggest NASCAR homer you could find as far as NASCAR tubers, he even said that they look like a fucking joke. What does that tell you? Dillon had only 6 top 20 finishes this season going into Richmond and an average finish of 24.5. That's pathetic. Didn't he only have like 2 top 10s all year? I mean, yeah, the 3 car has been dog shit. Especially the last couple of years. We do complain about the playoffs all the time, but NASCAR clearly doesn't want to listen to us. Well, then they're a bunch of fucking fools. Because we've been telling them for years that this playoff system does not fucking work. I mean, all you have to do is look at the fucking playoff ratings. I mean, if something like Ross Chastain riding the wall and becoming the most viral driver in NASCAR history doesn't bump the ratings for the finale. In fact, they ended up losing a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a big loss. It was only like a .01 or something like that. But it was still a loss. It was expected that an event like that would cause a huge jump for the finale. And it didn't do shit. That in itself should tell you that the playoff system does not fucking work. But that's the problem with NASCAR. Their egos are so fucking humongous. I'm honestly surprised that they don't have their own fucking zip code at this point. NASCAR does not like to admit when they're wrong. They always love to double down and triple down on their bullshit decisions to make them feel good about themselves. Because it's like, no, we didn't do anything wrong. Bullshit. I mean, why else do you trot your fucking talking head Elton Sawyer out there to try to explain all your bullshit away? And you honestly think we're that fucking dumb that we're gonna just eat that shit up? Like, you're even bigger fucking morons than I thought if that's the case. And it's honestly a wonder how this fucking company is gonna survive in 20 years. Because if this is the fucking stupid shit that we're going to be seeing from this point forward, I don't know if I want to be a part of it. Truth be told. But they've already given Austin Dillon the win. They say they're going to look into it and, decide what penalties, if any, that they're going to do. What could they possibly do at this point? I mean, you might say, well, they might do points and a monetary fine. That may be true, but that's not going to do jack fuck all. He's already locked into the playoff with his win. There's 3 spots left in the playoff. There's only 3 races left in the regular season. There won't be more than 16 different winners. Unless they decide to revoke that win as far as being playoff eligible. Like, he can keep the win, but it won't count towards eligibility towards the playoff. I think they did that. Wasn't it for Larson? A year or 2 ago? I know they did that for a driver where he was allowed to keep the win, but it wasn't allowed to be counted towards his playoff eligibility. And then, of course, he went out and won a different race and got in that way. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I'm not remembering right off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't know what NASCAR could do in this situation other than making the win not count towards his playoff eligibility. Of course, that opens up a whole nother fucking can of worms. Logano, they did it for in Richmond in 2017. Was that what it was? Oh yeah, that's when they were his win didn't count, and that was his only win that season. Oh yeah, because they did the encumbered bullshit. That's what it was. I remember now. Because that's when they were still doing the encumbrance shit, whatever the fuck that was. And there was something illegal on his car, and they ended up encumbering it, and it didn't count towards his playoff eligibility. I knew it was something like that. Austin has officially became my most hated driver after last night. NASCAR just keep going in that WWE direction. I mean, yeah. I mean, trust me, I have no love for Austin Dillon either. I mean, I think he's a fucking silver spoon. A silver spoon choking motherfucker, but, he has his granddad's money. And as long as he can, as long as he wants to, despite how fucking horrid his seasons have been going, he's going to continue to be in that 3 car until he decides he wants to retire at some point. Which, who knows when the fuck that will be. But, you know. I mean, I guess if anything, this has really gotten us talking, because here's the thing. There was absolutely no buzz coming into this race because of the Olympic break, which is fine because, I mean, honestly, with how long this season is, they need to do something like Formula One does with their summer break, where they just completely shut down everything for a couple weeks, let everybody get some much needed rest, recharge, you know, reset, and come back into things with a fresh perspective. I mean, it seemed to help as far as the race last night was concerned. Was it a barn burner by any stretch? No. I mean, apparently it did set an all-new track record for lead changes for Richmond. Haven't even gotten to that yet. 26 overall lead changes, which apparently is a new Richmond track record. 6 of them being pure lead changes. That says 2 overtimes. It's not 2 overtimes. It is not 2 overtimes. It was just the 1, but 1 is enough. It was just the 1 overtime, not 2. 2 cautions. 2 cautions. That number was almost 0 if it hadn't been for Ricky Shithouse. God, I'll be so glad when Stenhouse is finally gone from the Cup Series. I will celebrate like no other. 4,076 green flag passes. It comes out to a 10.7 average, which typically isn't great. But you also have to take a look and see how many fucking green flag laps there were. And, I mean, it pretty much ran green for like 90% of the race. So, honestly, 4,000 green flag passes is not bad at all. Not bad at all, especially for Richmond. Richmond has struggled a bit, but I think the new option tire really helped. And I said it was a good idea. It just needed, the execution of it needed to be improved, and I thought it did a good job last night. And Denny Hamlin ended up leading the most laps at 124. So, as for my final rating for the Cookout 400, did the finish and all the fucking controversy, did it bring down the race a little bit? Yeah, it did. And unfortunately, it overshadowed what was honestly a very solid Richmond race. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, with the option tire and seeing guys just absolutely bull rush the field like Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell did in stage 2 on that option tire, I was like, damn, this might become a thing going forward. And I said it was a good idea, and it just needed it just needed a track that would help highlight it. And Richmond, for all its faults, it definitely highlighted it. Of course, there's rumors going around that Richmond is going to lose a date next year, and rumors are that is going to be to Mexico City. And in fact, there's rumors going around that Rockingham is going to be joining NASCAR once again next year in Xfinity and trucks. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea, because the schedule still isn't out yet. They're still probably going through all the details for all 3 divisions. So who knows when the hell the schedule is going to come out. But, I mean, as per the usual, it has me curious, because it just seems like, you know, after, and it's honestly a good thing, because after years and years and years and years of having just the same old shit every single year, having this, you know, anticipation for the schedule release is actually refreshing. Because it's like, okay, what track's going to be on the schedule next year? So, but, I mean, when you look at the attendance, I mean, the attendance didn't look good at all, unfortunately. Even though the race was solid. But I think having 2 dates at this point, it's just, harming the track more than it's helping. I mean, look at tracks that have lost to date, like Dover and Michigan and Pocono. Their attendance figures have skyrocketed. So, I think going back to just one date for Richmond, might be the best thing for it. But that's just my opinion. But, I mean, finish aside, the race was still solid. I'm not going to jump on it too much. So, my final rating for the Cookout 400 will be a solid 6 out of 10. I mean, let's be honest here. This race was hella better than some of the races we've seen over the last 2 months. Like, Pocono was trash. Indianapolis, for all of its hype, was fucking garbage. Nashville was garbage. So this was a nice little bit of fresh air for what it's worth. Next week is Michigan. Michigan's been kind of hit or miss. I hope we see some good racing next week. Although last year was actually pretty solid because we had that great battle with Truex and Buescher. Yeah, the racing last year was actually pretty solid for Michigan. So hopefully we'll see that again this year. But anyways, that is going to do it for a very lengthy review. Almost an hour and 20 minutes at this point. And normally I don't go live anymore for the fuel unless it's the Crown Jewel event. But, the craziness of last night kind of forced my hand this time around. Because, I mean, everybody's talking about it right now. So there's that. But that's going to do it for this edition of The Fuel. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to have some channel news coming up here real soon. Probably not today, but maybe sometime this week. Got some channel news coming up. But that'll come sooner rather than later. So, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan letting you know that tonight's video was sponsored by W Jitterless Energy Blend and Reaper Apparel Company. Special shout out to both of them for sponsoring my YouTube channel. W Energy is a jitterless energy blend that contains coffee fruit extract and was designed to give gamers a boost of energy without all the downsides of regular energy drinks like crashes and harmful ingredients. And there are several different great flavors that you can try, such as Dragonade, Push and Punch, Galaxy Grenade, Beach and Peach, Watermelonada, and the limited edition Palm Blom flavor. And don't forget to get you a plastic shaker while you're at it. If you're interested in giving W Energy a shot, there's an affiliate link down in the description box below. In addition to W Energy, this video has also been brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. By clicking on the affiliate link down below in the description box, you'll be able to browse through many of their different wares, such as hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and other cool items. And that's not the only thing. When you place an order and you go to checkout, be sure to type in the code PackerMan and you'll be able to save 10% off of your order. And it would also help me out as well if you use the affiliate link, so thank you if you do. And also, special thanks to both Dubby and Reaper Apparel for sponsoring my channel. Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs, and thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe to stay apprised of the latest videos for this channel. If you would like to join the Spare Parts Gaming community, links to their Discord and Facebook are down in the description. Also, if you would like to leave me a tip for the video, a link to my coffee is down in the description box below at buymeacoffee.com/thepackerman71. Also, be sure to give my channel sponsors W Energy and Reaper Apparel Company a shot Their affiliate links are down in the description box below, and it would help me out as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out.